Tonight on Chronicle, he uses the power of his double bass to bring hope to underserved audiences.
It has an emotional depth that if you're open to it, you can feel something.
Why this musician is taking Bach behind bars.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah, that sound is music to the ears of railroad lovers. While our first story tonight is music to the ears of an unlikely audience.
The healing power of music, especially classical music, is well documented, but it can't weave its magic if it's not accessible to those who need it.
And that's where a fellow named Dobbs comes in. Richard Hartson is a storyteller and composer from Nelson who is also a renowned double bass virtuoso, a master of the works of Bach.
Since 2004, Dobbs has made it his mission to offer free live music to underserved and disadvantaged audiences, bringing his one-man show to orphanages, refugee camps, and prisons across the globe.
Jennifer Crompton caught up with him at a recent performance and got a chance to take in the magical power of his Bach with verse.
Well, I made a decision about 5 years ago that I was, for the rest of my life, after a long career, I played 30 years with Apple Hill and I did a bunch of other things, that I would only play for people who otherwise would never get to hear music.
Richard Hartshorn goes by the name Dobbs when he's performing in his one-man show. He lives in Nelson, New Hampshire, but the soft-spoken musician and storyteller and composer shares his belief in the power of classical music across the globe, traveling to refugee camps in Palestine and orphanages and schools in Afghanistan. He even translates his stories into their languages.
But when I'm there, I play in schools where there's absolutely no music. There's no music teacher, there's no music curriculum, there's nothing. So I've been going around the last 4 years playing for as many kids as I possibly could, and hopefully getting them excited about what music can do.
On this day, he's performing for minimum security inmates of the New Hampshire State Prison System. Over the years, he's played at every facility. He performs at prisons in other states too, New York and California. So far, an experience that began at notorious San Quentin, the kinds of places where classical music is rarely, if ever, heard.
One of the things that I do everywhere I go is I play one of the solo suites by Johann Sebastian Bach, who was the father of all musicians and probably the greatest musician who ever lived. The reason I play it is because there are two wonderful qualities to this music. One is it's very simple, something anyone can understand, and the other is that it has an emotional depth that if you're open to it, you can feel something. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, for the next 15 minutes, just do whatever you want, think about whatever you want, go wherever you want, but allow the music into you and see if something happens. It's 300 years old, but it hasn't lost any of its power.
Dobbs has been on a lifelong journey, transcribing the 6 solo suites that were actually written for the cello. Over time, he's adapted and retuned his giant double bass, the nearly 150-year-old instrument, bringing a deep resonance to music that he's been committed to learning since 1967.
But there's nothing that I can think of, I mean, no music on earth, that you could play every day for, 42 years and not get so sick of it you just couldn't stand it. I can go back to that music every day, every day. I feel something new. It's still fresh to me.
The audience for his show is respectful. An audience for whom peace and quiet, never mind classical music, is a rarity.
His musical talents have inspired several of the inmates throughout the course of the many years that he's been playing in prisons. And I think that they've taken a lot of interest in following his career as well, in support of what he does.
Over the years, Jane Copeland has been the warden of each New Hampshire correctional facility, and he's played them all. She's also on the board of his nonprofit called Bach with Verse, because he often adds not-so-serious musical stories to the mix, like the one about a young birch tree named Billy.
One day, Billy ran off and joined the circus. There, he fell in love with a beaver named Brenda.
He's inspirational, he brings that classical component, and he brings humor to really enlighten the inmates as to a way to sort of forget about where they are at the moment.
Love was hard for Billy and Brenda. Love was hard for Billy and Brenda. Love was hard for Billy and Brenda, but love can conquer all.
His music and storytelling have universal appeal, and the simple example of doing it, an inspiration as well.
It's never too late. It took me 40 years to learn how to play that music. 65, I've just had another kid. 5 years ago, I started a new career. So remember that whatever you set your mind to do, you can do.